valley is on the brink of what could be an economic explosion.
No way am I going to let them be on my property. That's for sure.
People out of work are hungry for job opportunities.
More than 200,000 jobs will be created over the next 5 years.
O-H-I-O! Hydrofracking's got to go!
What we found was that there was no evidence of influences from hydraulic fracturing, at least on the wells that we looked at in the time frame that we looked at them.
But right now we're finding that we can't do it safely, that the regulations aren't there.
Billions of dollars are being poured into the area, and thousands of jobs are being created, all because of what lies deep underground.
Report after report after report demonstrating that fracturing the rocks does not cause groundwater contamination.
These earthquakes occur near these wells and have occurred after these wells have gone online.
All of the earthquakes are within probably a 1.5 mile radius of the actual injection well.
The valley is on the brink of what could be an economic explosion. Billions of dollars are being poured into the area, and thousands of jobs are being created, all because of what lies deep underground.
We have a whole industry that wants to move into this region and to do so relatively quickly. That is something that I think 20 years ago, city and community leaders probably would not have envisioned.
A recent study estimated in Ohio alone more than 200,000 jobs will be created over the next 5 years.
Even if we only get a small portion of those, that's still going to be a very large and significant number, and that's strictly in the drilling operations.
Some of that development is already occurring at companies like V&M Star and TMK IPSCO. And of course, all of those jobs will create demand on the economy at stores, restaurants, car dealerships, leading to even more spin-off jobs. But jobs aren't the only economic benefit coming from the shale development. We spoke with Rhonda Rita from the Ohio Oil and Gas Education Program via Skype about the millions of dollars oil and gas companies are paying landowners for the right to drill and eventually for royalties.
It's the long-term revenue stream that the royalties that will be paid to local landowners, which could be a farmer, it could be a local business, it could be a well drilled on a school property, a golf course. So those royalties will be there as long as that well produces. So again, that's a long-term economic boost.
The regional chamber has already documented some signs of economic benefit in Columbiana County from those sign-on bonuses. They say tractor sales are up in the county, and so are bank deposits, possibly a small sign of what's to come. With more local news, I'm Talia Hagler. Fracking is a hot topic of conversation these days. With the valley sitting on top of the Utica and Marcellus shales, oil and gas companies are looking to drill. The drilling process includes something called hydraulic fracturing or fracking, in which water, chemicals, and sand are blasted into the rocks thousands of feet below the surface to help unlock the natural gas and oil. Some landowners are worried this process could lead to contamination of their drinking water. But a new study from Penn State finds that concern is unfounded.
We looked at 233 water wells before and after drilling of nearby Marcellus. And in a nutshell, what we found was that there was no evidence of influences from hydraulic fracturing, at least on the wells that we looked at in the time frame that we looked at them.
Rhonda Rita with the Ohio Oil and Gas Energy Education Program, which is funded by oil and gas producers and royalty owners, says she hopes this study puts the issue to rest once and for all.
I think it confirms the EPA study. I think, like I said, Groundwater Protection Council just released theirs about a few weeks ago. Ohio went through a state peer review in January, and report after report after report demonstrating that fracturing the rocks does not cause groundwater contamination.
But people involved with the study believe more testing is necessary. They say more wells should be studied for longer periods of time to be absolutely certain there's no long-term impact on well water. With more local news, I'm Talia Hagler.
The shale boom could be the biggest boost to the Mahoning Valley's economy in decades.
I just want to be a part of the excitement that is now Youngstown and part of this new economic possible boom that we're going to see.
And at the Youngstown, Ohio Utica and Natural Gas Conference and Expo, it was clear that it's not just landowners and business owners who want to cash in on this new gold mine that's come to the oil and natural gas industry. People out of work are hungry for job opportunities.
I've been out of work for almost 3 years, and I'm looking to do anything.
Local longtime businesses like Deering Compressor in Boardman and others have tapped into the industry, supplying the gas compression. And they're hiring machine assemblers and welders, and there's no lack of job opportunities.
There's so many opportunities that are here that now they're hiring people from West Virginia, people from out of PA, people from out of Oklahoma are all coming here and making money off of our area because our people are not ready.
That's why the Youngstown Works Coalition has been formed along with Eastern Gateway Community College and Chauvin Career Center to get people trained. And the Newcastle School of Trades has taken a lead role in that process, training people for the past 2 years and employing 50 so far this year.
The average wage in Marcellus Shale in Pennsylvania is $69,720. That's the average. So we have electrical technology, commercial and industrial maintenance. We just have a lot of opportunities.
And the biggest demand, Class A CDL drivers to transport the equipment for the shale drilling process. With more local news, I'm Michelle Nix.
Lou Handrick is a landowner in Butler County, and he's part of a group called Marcellus Outreach Butler.
I started investigating what was going on with this Marcellus gas drilling, and no way am I going to let them be on my property, that's for sure.
Sarah Scholl is also against horizontal drilling in Pennsylvania.
Right now we're finding that we can't do it safely, that the regulations aren't there, that this wastewater that's contaminated with deadly and toxic chemicals has been being dumped into our rivers and our streams, and in fact legally so.
Today, Lou and Sarah joined dozens of people at Slippery Rock University for a forum on fracking. Dr. John Stoltz from the Department of Biological Sciences at Duquesne University discussed environmental issues associated with the production of Marcellus shale.
We're dealing with the human factor, and things happen, okay? There are a lot of wells that have been completed successfully without any problems. But when there are problems, they can be significant.
Other experts took the stage to talk about public health issues that could arise when rigs roll into town. One of the biggest concerns deals with flowback water that comes up after a well has been hydraulically fractured.
Once those fluids go in the ground, it's not only what's in those fluids, it's also what's being picked up from the shale layer itself, which has anything from heavy metals to radionuclides to a lot of different kinds of salts. And the disposal of that fluid is of great concern to us.
The drilling industry maintains it is a safe industry with strict standards in place to protect the public, but Lou's not buying it.
It's nonsense. It just does not make sense.
Multiple studies are underway to evaluate long-term health and environmental impacts of horizontal drilling. For Healthy Living, I'm Susan Campbell.
From V&M Star and officials from VAM USA and V&M Star jointly announced plans for a $57 million expansion at the current Girard Youngstown facility. It brings the company closer to customers working locally in the shale industry.
We see enough business to justify building his new mill, which is a very, very large mill, and our new facility there.
VAM USA's new finishing plant will help both companies improve efficiency in pipe production.
We can make the pipe at V&M Star. Judson's company can then thread it for customers that were largely in this area.
Houston-based VAM USA plans to hire 100 skilled employees for the plant, which local leaders hope will grow even more jobs.
Every time they add jobs, it's a domino effect. You're going to get other businesses located here, which means more jobs.
Work is underway to renovate the 100-year-old sheet and tube building on the V&M property.
That building had been vacant for over 30 years, and now we're bringing new life to it. It's an exciting thing.
And owners of both companies expect to be busy when the new facility opens in 2013.
We feel pretty confident that we'll have the business to fill his new mill and our new facility also.
The drilling process is intricate. The target formation more than a mile underground.
We go down vertically and we begin to access the shale rock horizontally.
And that's just the beginning of the natural gas production process. It takes about 5.5 million gallons of water to hydraulically fracture a well. Some of the water that's pumped down comes back up as flowback water, and there are 3 ways to get rid of it. The first is deep well injection.
Since we've run the program in Ohio since the early 80s, there's not one recorded incident where the injection process has contaminated any groundwater.
The second thing that can be done with flowback water is to transport it to a wastewater treatment plant. Warren's wastewater treatment plant is the first in Ohio to secure a permit to treat wastewater from drilling sites.
Ohio EPA in December gave approval for Warren to process 100,000 gallons per day of this gas well wastewater, put it through the plant, and ultimately discharge it to the Mahoning River.
Warren wants a permit for more, up to 600,000 gallons of brine water per day. But the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency is being cautious.
Unfortunately, our wastewater treatment plants really don't have the ability to filter out that salt when it goes through the treatment process. The way we're really dealing with it is to have it mixed with and diluted by the stream water and other wastewater coming into the plant.
That's why the Ohio EPA likes the third option the best. That's to recycle the flowback water. Chesapeake Energy does that with all of its wastewater.
We are able to capture that water in steel tanks and take it through what we call our Aqua Renew process, where we filter out the solids and we get that water back to a condition that we simply can reuse or recycle it and take it to the next job, and we're able to use it there.
But if a spill would happen at the actual drill site, there are multiple layers of protection in place. Under this mat, there's a plastic liner. Under that, there's a tear-proof piece of fabric, and under that, there's a whole layer of rock. And though it's standard practice for drilling companies to test water quality before drilling starts, local health departments recommend that landowners get their water tested through an independent certified lab.
If there's some leakage during the drilling, they would want to know the quality of their water before, and that way they could compare it to the quality of the water after.
Just one more way to protect the water we drink if the rigs roll in. For Healthy Living, I'm Susan Campbell.
We have the right to be on the sidewalk.
Before heading out on their march, some 200 protesters are given the ground rules for their protest.
Let's go!
After a mile-long march, they arrive at the Covelli Center to let their voices be heard.
O-H-I-O! Hydrofracking's got to go!
The protesters feel Ohio is rushing into shale development and needs to wait for more impact information.
A moratorium at the least until the EPA report comes out. Preliminary report will be out in 2012 and the final report's due out in 2014. There can be a lot of environmental and economic damage between now and then, so that's what we want.
Don't frack Ohio!
Our people and our drinking water are put on the line in order for industry to come in here and make a quick buck.
A woman from Cuyahoga County says the volume of drilling in her Cleveland suburb is out of control.
They're coming in and really they are drilling literally 3 to 5 wells a month on average.
Away from the main demonstration, police arrested 9 protesters at the site of an injection well on Ohio Works Drive. It's the well that some residents believe has contributed to recent earthquakes. With more local news, I'm Glenn Stevens.
Injection wells are sites where wastewater used in hydraulic fracturing during the shale drilling process is disposed when it can no longer be recycled.
A good number of the injection wells used to be production wells from the Clinton Formation and other formations.
Geologist Dr. Jeffrey Dick at YSU says it is possible that wastewater injection wells can trigger earthquakes depending on their location.
Because you're adding a fluid that has pressure to it, and water pressure can reduce the friction along a previous fault plane or fracture in the rock along which there's some stress.
While earthquakes are not uncommon in Arkansas, geologists there discovered a new fault line and an increase of seismic activity after injection wells started up in the Guy Greenbrier area in 2009. Over the past year, there have been 1,250 earthquakes.
What we've seen is a temporal and spatial correlation between
the earthquakes in these wells. In other words, these earthquakes occur near these wells and have occurred after these wells have gone online.
And they noticed a significant decrease in earthquakes when an injunction on those wells went into effect. There are 181 Class 2 injection wells in Ohio, including one off of Salt Springs Road. It went online in May. In August, the valley experienced 2 earthquakes and then 3 more in September.
All of the earthquakes are within probably a 1.5-mile radius of the actual injection well.
The state of Arkansas is now setting regulations on where injection wells can be developed, something Ohio and Pennsylvania may need to consider as the drilling for Utica and Marcellus Shale continues to progress. With more local news, I'm Jennifer Balagish.
Marcellus and Utica shales are deep underground, and soon the local landscape could be dotted with drilling rigs to get to those rock formations.
If the Utica turns out to be oil producing, that could be very, very, very significant to this area.
While some see dollar signs, others, including the Columbiana City Council, see something much less appealing.
And if something would happen with our water supply, there's no recourse, there's no ramifications that we can act back on to fix the problem.
It's a problem that some landowners are already fighting. Several lawsuits have been filed against oil and gas companies claiming that drilling has ruined water quality. But there are government regulations in place to help prevent similar alleged issues. In Ohio, drilling is regulated by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources.
With everything, there is risk. The risk, though, is much smaller than many people might realize.
So to find out how it all works, we came here to the heart of the Marcellus shale drilling industry in northeastern Pennsylvania. This is one of 24 rigs that Chesapeake Energy operates in the area.
To protect aquifers during the drilling process, wells are constructed with layers of steel casing.
We cement each of those in place, and that seals off the aquifer.
Then, once the well is drilled, it's hydraulically fractured. That means the drill pipe is perforated and a mixture of water, sand, and chemicals is pumped down into the well under pressure. That fractures the shale rock formation and allows production of natural gas or oil to begin. It's a process that's been used in vertical wells for decades.
It has been studied. It's a engineered, highly engineered process that is safe.
And unless there's a problem in the construction phase, geologists say there's virtually no way for the water and chemicals that are pumped down into the wells to seep into our drinking water supply.
Well, number one is the depth. You're looking at the stratigraphy, which has impermeable layers between those formations and the surface. And you're looking at earth pressures that just don't allow the types of fractures that they're inducing. It doesn't allow them to migrate to the surface.
But after the fracking process is complete, some water does come back up to the surface through the well. It's called flowback water, and for some residents, it's another cause for concern. Coming up tonight at 11, we'll take a look at how our drinking water is protected from that contaminated flowback water. For Healthy Living, I'm Susan Campbell.
TMK is a leading producer of threaded pipe and connections. The addition of a second thread line in Brookfield is in response to the growing needs of the Marcellus drilling region, and that means more jobs.
Growth-wise, right now, we're about halfway to our end result for personnel. We have about 65 people in the plant right now, and more on the way every week, so it's a nice feeling.
The nearly 130,000 square foot plant is state-of-the-art and requires highly skilled workers, but the company has not had to go out of state or bring in transfers from its other plants to fill the jobs here.
There's not a single person here that was with TMK at any other site prior to its opening, so all of them are regionally located, and we've found a very qualified and good workforce here.
The company also is working on a program to train younger workers to grow with the company. With 75% of all drilling in the U.S. now horizontal or directional, TMK is supplying premium connections that keep the pipe's diameter uniform and can withstand 30,000 pounds of pressure per square inch.
The ability to make the radius turns, it takes a special pipe. It takes something that people can rely on, obviously, so they're going to need our product.
The company already is clearing space to add a third line at the plant and projects employment will grow to 145 by mid next year.
Just for the upgrowth and drilling are projected out currently through 30 years of growth, so it's a really great place to be.
With more local news, I'm Glenn Stevens.